Okay, so we're tacking down the edges here, and I'm gonna just show you how I'm doing that. And I've already got some needles that are prepped for saddle stitching. Which is basically requires 2 needles on each end. But all I'm doing is just making a knot and then tying them off. So after I do that, I can make a snip there, and then I know where they're at, so I can take a seam ripper later and get rid of them, just for aesthetic purposes. But now that I've got, I got 2 ends, and there's a few ways to do this actually, and I'm changing my mind because I've got enough here to where I can kind of do this without having to have unsightly things on the front of our stitch, which I'll have to deal with later. So I'm just going to take 1 needle now, and because this is the way it's done, I could take my my hole punch and go through this and punch it again, but like I said, some places might not be, it'd be, the margin for error is great. So what I will do is, since this is already tacked down, I can take my awl here, and I can just go ahead and kind of punch in a corner through both materials and at least 2 spots, right? And then what I'll do, after making sure that the softer material is punched through, I can come up. Actually, I'm gonna go from the back, and you might not be able to see this, but I can go from the back so I can go from the back and then just leave a little bit of a tail and then go through the front. I wish I had another camera person or something like that, because then I could give you close-ups, but just work with what you got. Hopefully you get the idea of the concept. Again, this is not a beginning project by any means. I recommend you have a little bit of leatherworking experience. But if you don't, just follow along as closely as you can. That's why I'm being very verbose on my thought process and how I'm doing things. Okay. So I'm doing a couple of passes, and that should just tack it down. For our intensive purposes, I shouldn't have to knot it or anything. Okay. I shouldn't have to put a knot or anything like that. That way it should be easy to undo, okay, when we get there. So all I have to do is take this and snip it. And this is waxed nylon or artificial sinew. I like to use that. There's different grades of it at the leather store and stuff like that, which is where I get the majority of it. So now I want to go to the next corners here, and the process is the same. Just gonna make a punch through both materials and in 2 of the holes. Okay, it's like sewing a button, right? Find out where the hole is from the back or the front. It doesn't really matter, because all you're doing is tacking it down. You're gonna take this out anyhow. Okay, so I think I have this all tacked down. You can see in the back where I've tacked it down at the corners. This is the last tack. And I'm not going to tack in the middle. I could possibly do it if I run into problems while saddle stitching the main bodies. But what will happen is, excuse me. What will happen is I'll saddle stitch from one corner until I get to another corner here, and then I'll take the tack out using a seam ripper or just kind of pulling at it with my awl until I get through a thread, and then I can undo it, just so it doesn't look unsightly. It might not matter though. Depends. I may not have to do all that, but if one wants to be fastidious about it, that's the way I would do it. And then continue just saddle stitching all the way around. Hopefully it stays in place, and that's it. And then we get to work on these two pieces, which, you know, this is not much stitching as this is, and you know, but yeah, then once we put the hem in the top of the mouth of the bag part, then we'll have to stitch it in place using saddle stitching. So at least that's how I believe that our references is stating how it would look. So I'm gonna just make sure that this doesn't get in the way, and that's that. Alrighty, so we have, this is what our saddle stitching looks like on the inside here, and this is what it looks like on the outside here. So now we've come to one of our tack points, and at least the one that I don't want to be visible on the front. So I got a seam ripper. Now I could take my awl or one of the needles here and kind of pick it out, because I didn't make a knot in it or anything like that. But you know, I don't care. So I'm gonna go on my hidden side or the inside and just kind of start to rip this thread out, just like so. You know, there's many different ways you could get rid of it. As long as you don't knot it, it's not going to be terribly difficult. And I should be able to just pick this out. Noticing I'm not using this sharp piece on my finished outside piece, because I don't want to mar or scratch my piece that's going to be visible. So now I can continue on with my stitching and just make sure the hole is big enough. I'm going to go, I'm doing like 5 at a time. So I'm taking my awl, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So then I can just, and again, like I said, it's probably very difficult to see. And again, I'm at a bad angle. But now I just take this and feed that through. Pull it to the other side. And then I take my next one, and from the other side I actually, am I missing something? No, I'm not. I should have. Okay, so this is probably good to I missed a stitch because I can see the hole on this side. So actually I can go back through. Okay, as long as I don't, because wax nylon will split. As long as I don't split my wax and nylon, then I should easily just be able to pull it back through, and now I'm back to where I started. So that means that I'm starting on the opposite side with my other needle and going through a hole, or no, because I must have dismissed the hole. Yeah. Okay, but anyways, that was a good time to show you how to, if you correct a mistake if you miss a hole or something like that. So I'm just going to continue on, and I'll see you when I get back with the finished piece. So we're at our last few stitches. I just want to show where to end, or how to finish this off, right? So again, I just want to make sure that we have clear passage to make this quick and easy. And we do have a tack down stitch, and again, you could go over these stitches. I'm actually taking these out it went fairly smoothly. A little time consuming because the stitches were too close together. Okay, next time I just kind of widen them up. It gives it more of a rustic look, but it's not as time consuming. So let's set aside. And again, I'm at the end almost, and I just have just enough to finish this off, because you can see I've had to kind of extend it. Sometimes it loses its tack, so sometimes you have to twist it back again, or just rethread some new. But I think I have enough, just enough to finish. So let's take this one, pull it through the hole there, and then flip to the other side, pick up the other thread, and go in where that one came out. Sometimes it's tricky, sometimes I have to reinforce it again with my awl. And make sure I'm picking up the right needle, otherwise it can be a bit of a problem. And I'll just go back in where I came out. There we go, that worked. Alright, that went through. And now this one is going to go into our last hole, like that. And at this point, I can pull it tight. Now, actually, I'm going to take my this other needle here. I'm going to go back through this hole, the end hole, and then go back through one, like that. So then this next one, this is the finishing hole here. The finishing hole here. I'm gonna go back to this one, and then we're gonna tie it off. So with this needle here, all I gotta do, again, so it's smooth sailing. Gotta kind of be careful about that, because you don't want to break or split your threads. And then that fits right through. Now I've got two on the inside. Okay, at this point in time, if I had long enough pieces, I would just snip and tie it off. But since this is I'm not going to be able to salvage any of this because it's too short, I just take my needles off, set them aside, and then now I can kind of take these two threads here. Let me see, I gotta get up on camera. I can take these two, and I can kind of just pull them so everything's nice and tight. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do a double overhand knot. Pull it tight down onto it, and then just an overhand knot. And then some people will put a little dab of super glue on there or something like that. I don't think that's really necessary, but sometimes depending on your project you may want to do that. So at this point you put a little dab of super glue and then snip it, and then you're all good to go. I don't do that because if I ever have to come back and use my seam ripper to start taking stitches out to fix something or replace something, then if I super glued it down, it's going to be a bit of a problem. So that is our stitching and how you saddle stitch. I think I've gone through that in other videos with other projects. So I kind of want to, make sure that I include that up there. But yeah, that's kind of how you saddle stitch. And at this point in time, let's see, we've got our holes here. I'm just going to make sure that nothing shifted, which it didn't. Nothing shifted. So at this point in time is where we're going to, again, I'm off camera, forgive me. Okay. So at this point in time is where our three holes here, they're just going to create the tassels and the loop for our button. I'm going to go ahead and punch in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my awl. Again, if this was close enough to the edge of our softer fabric, I could use my hole punch to do that. But, you know, I don't want to wrestle with it like that. So I can just take my awl and just kind of, like I had been doing, just kind of push it through. And, you know, I can go through each one of these. This is tacked down now, so the panel's not going anywhere.